Beloved star, welcome. Welcome to Immortal Star Pod, Elven Pod episode 65. And this one I would love to share about the energies of this week, of what we are within, and some of the unfoldments of the Primrose Moon and what that means for the golden lands of the new earth. In the last pod, I shared the cotton grass plant and this as an essence symbolizing the renewal that we are within of this moon. And I've been having a really, really interesting time because with this passage and the eclipse energies and so forth, there has been a lot of deep healing, recalibration, and so forth. Very, very, very deep layers, very deep emotional layers being stirred and, visited for the spirit of renewal to enter into and recode dynamics within those far aspects. And that was very, very strong for me as part of the passage of the last week. But then as I allowed that recoding, which was very interesting, it was actually, I shared of this in Aurora with more depth, but around the experience of receiving envy, receiving the energy of envy. And it's certainly one that I've been at the end of feeling towards another. And that's a whole lesson in its own right, moving with the dance of that. I'm not going to go into that right now, but what was really, really current for me was the experience of receiving that. And that is from within a very core relationship that's been with me really since the beginning of this lifetime. And I realized how much of my personality self here has formed around that experience as a continued, because it's an ongoing long-term relationship that has formed a very repeated encodement within my experience. And so has been very structural, very foundational to the structuring of my personality level responses and expectations here. And what I really was tracking into was the sense of how much I've adapted. Certainly part of the adaptation in that dance for me has always been to play small. It's like the prey that, when it senses the lion is near, just plays dead, makes as little sign of life as possible in order to lose the attention of the predator, of the lion. And that's a deep, deep old pattern. And it's, with things that you do so automatically, it's got so coded within your unconsciousness that you don't think about it anymore. It runs itself really beautifully, really effortlessly. And those patterns that we can often, as we start waking up within them or from them, as the soul star, the awakeness, the first light of who we are, that awakened consciousness wakes up within, it starts to regard these patterns as it views them as they arise in the timing that they do, one by one, that you see it. And there's an awareness, for instance, this one, playing small when I sense the energy of envy, playing lifeless, playing as innocuous, as harmless as possible, in order to diffuse, to switch off that energy being directed at me. Because what I'd just love to say about that, actually just to go into that for a moment longer, if that's something that you've experienced, and this is helpful to acknowledge just how unpleasant that energy is, even if nothing is said, when we are sentient and we are aware of energy, of that, perhaps even first and foremost as more real to us, we're more aware of that almost than of anything else. It's a very primary lens. And in the awakened self, in the light of our soul star, that is first and foremost, that's the foundation of all that pictures forth as the reality we experience here. That when there's a shift in the field of the energy of the consciousness around us, within us, through our experiential stream, it is so to the forefront of awareness. And the energy of envy, when unchecked, when unowned in the other, when directed towards us, is very, very painful, very unpleasant to experience. And I realized that as I watched, so as from within the awakened layers of the soul star consciousness, bearing witness to the behavioral response within myself to that. So to avoid the unpleasantness, to avoid the pain, to literally to detour something that feels so horrible, so awful when it's happening. So that's the motivation, is to get away from that suffering, that pain. As it views that behavior, also views the inauthenticity in that behavior, that it's got its own agenda. It's to avoid that suffering, to avoid that pain, and is not aligned with anything else. There's no other intention there. Also, yes, a sense of compassion at the level of wanting, perhaps understanding how painful it is for the other to experience that envy, and wishing that, feeling a compassion, a wish that they not experience more of that. And so perhaps almost taking responsibility for their experience, for their suffering, feeling guilty that this has been triggered within them. All of these but this as a reaction. So also taking on the guilt for triggering that. So the desire to, well, first of all, absorbing the energy of the other, a desire to avoid suffering. These are not primary. This is not primary motivations of the self, of the consciousness that we are. I think of that deeper intentionality of my being to be, to blossom, this dreaming that I am, the expression of this dreaming upon this earth, the dream within my soul star that others blossom in the light and the dreaming of that which they are. None of that is reflected in these motivations, this motivation to avoid this pain, and this motivation of wanting to help the others avoid that pain, to absorb it, and to take on that. And so coming to this, as the self, as we awaken within our experience, we witness our personality playing out aspects that make no sense from the point of view of higher consciousness. And you think, that's so inconsistent with the truth of who I am. And it can feel odd when we observe them arising, because it can start to feel like quite a split within who we are. And so this pattern of the inauthentic playing small, guided by these motivations, I've been witnessing this. It's definitely one of my deep learnings. It's a behavior that's been very, very deeply woven in through all kinds of layers, and I'm gradually letting go of, perhaps fast, let's not so gradually call that in also, at moments, coming to completion with that behavior, finishing with it. Gosh, I can feel that energy as I speak. Finishing with that, just completing. It is done. That has served its purpose within the consciousness, within the experience, and now something else has traveled into. Now there is another ground, another learning. So that was very much, I share this, that was very much for me part of the renewal energy, because the renewal energy is the soul star, the awakened self, alighting within the old patterns of the age that has been, within the lower dimensional streams of consciousness, and bringing the light of renewal, bringing the light of insight, bringing the recoding through deep renewal within these far old ancient aspects of ourselves, and actually igniting the new era from within this, reclaiming this aspect of our energy that's operating with its own agenda, and calling it back to the whole, calling it back into coherence with the light of the awakened self, of who we are. And so within this, and it felt, sometimes it's so important that it happens. We might think, gosh, why is this happening now? So I had this happening, and part of me felt, I wish this wasn't happening now. It'd be so much nicer if it wasn't. Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? All those kind of stories. And then waking up within the experience, gratitude. This is happening. This is a gift. This is the recoding. This is the renewal. I have another choice point now. And maybe I don't have to cycle through this again and again. I can actually definitively grow and learn within this now. And etherically and within my being at every level, I made a different choice point. I put my foot down. I stood firm in my magnificence, in my light. I didn't absorb. I refused the absorption, and I felt the layers of my field that have designed and into the space of that absorbing. So recoding, reforming, old absorption, echoing out. And it was an energy like neutral, a neutral anger, a neutral depth of completion, a deep no, this is done. I no longer do this. I no longer absorb the energy of envy. And my role, my way of loving is not to take that on. That's not the way that I love you. That's not the way that I love myself. That is not the way that I love. There is another way, that I stand true in the depth of the light, of the magnificence of who I am, of who you are. And I believe, I dream more deeply that we are capable of something else. Side by side, of blossoming in the magnificence of the wonder, the power, the sheer glory of who we are. And that is our way of loving one another. And so that was the recoding, the renewal. And I stood, and it was through a couple of days, and I had to stand really firm because I could feel parts of my energy field that shook, were afraid, that wanted to retract back into the old pattern, and that felt quite unsafe. No, I'm not protecting myself in the old way that I would have done. I'm not playing dead. I'm not playing small. I'm not absorbing and getting really humble in that way. I'm actually doing something different that doesn't protect me in that way. And so I would have moments within the experience of feeling, when I first woke up in the morning, so just waking up out of the unconscious and feeling that anxiety and just sitting strong with that, again, recoding, reseeding, reconfirming the choice point, staying true. And so I just stayed within that. I choose differently. I stay within my magnificence now. And I still witness the energy playing through. It's just that gradually, and it was still not a lovely experience, not a great weekend by any means that I had, with this energy playing out still there. I could still see that, but my core and my aura and my being became clearer and clearer and clearer. And I was able to celebrate the depth of the choice point of seeding another timeline, another way, within a really, really core part in a core relationship that's been very, as I say, very structural to how I am. And so, yeah, this renewal energy and recoding, deepening, altering perception, this renewal sometimes looks very, very out there, very, we think of it as very out there, but actually can happen within very deep, close, intimate parts of our existence, and be so powerful, because then that's where the hologram alters. That's where our way of creating out here alters at all kinds of other levels, and can touch things that we may not see. We may not see the causality, the link. I play small in those situations, and then that's how that outpictures in my life in all kinds of other ways. So it's very, very beautiful then to later experience. So there's a lot that I'd love to share from a more etheric perspective about this moon. That was how it was playing through in my personal existence. But this essence of the primrose, we're now in the last wave of this moon, the last wave of this eclipse energy we are within. And that primrose flower, which is this pale yellow color, so soft, so beautiful, such a magical, magical energy. And this primrose moon of the Elven we are within, and we'll transition with the new moon at the beginning of next week into the bluebell moon in the way of the Elven. You're so welcome to join the Elven Aurora to walk with these deep, beautiful, exquisite recodings of the becoming of our celestial soul star self, journeys of remembrance. But the remembering, so we journey, but also we recode, we bring it here through every facet, so that we really walk the earth with the immortal starlight grace and power of who we truly are, the consciousness that we are, producing the hologram of our existence, regenerating everything, the entire experience. So, so beautiful. And so with this last phase of this moon, the Primrose Moon is about the interfusion of the aura with the golden lands of the new earth. And in this last phase of Aurora, we've been carrying the primrose light, laying the flowers all through our new earth temples. And the new earth temple, your golden temple of the new earth, is that part of the earth's hologram, body of light, her aura that is woven in co-creation with the codes of your home world, with the light of who you are. And this is a realm we can really develop, dream, imagine, remember, call into being. And through this moon, the deep renewal has been moving through the golden temples of the new earth so that they really interfuse with your golden temple, interfuses with the golden lands of the new earth at a new level and a new wave pulse of creation for this cycle. And I've been seeing in my waking and my dream sentience so much crystalline formation, new crystal patterns landing. I mean, jewel upon jewel, beautiful geometries and tones of crystal light of the dimensions of the home worlds, liquid, crystalline, quantum, divine light forming in all kinds of patterns. So the creational field is getting very, very rich now. And I've been in the heart of the temple of the morning star of the Elven of Ard Aria Fina, my own golden temple. And just to land this as I complete the pod, so I shared the outer correlative of my life, and then on the inner plane, very much this magnificence of this golden elven temple arising once more. And into the floor of this temple is laid 1,000 white starlight gems of another world, of my home world, Ephalianon, Evalon. And it's as though I've been laying the primrose flowers through this floor. I feel it's so beautiful. You can feel the energy as I spoke. It's been so amazing, this star-seeded elven temple. So aware of this, and yet it's as though there's a stirring within that crystalline floor, within the gems, within the ground, and I can feel the some unlocking, the some reveal as the primrose flowers merge with the floor, the crystalline floor. And there is an alteration in that divine patterning in this wave pulse, this new cosmic wave pulse of light. So I'm very with that and fascinated to witness. So I share that so that perhaps this resonates with the deeper, invisible layers of your own creation. And within the golden wheel, too, within my writing life, I'm experiencing the chapters, like the finer architecture synchronizing of the chapters, distilling. It's coming into its last editorial wave of form, this beautiful book of light. And it's quite amazing to witness the individualized crystalline sequencings of the chapters starting to wave through as I write in the early morning. Very precise, very beautifully encoded. So the field of creation is getting very rich right now, and I would complete this by my guidance would be to still spend plenty of time on your own. I've been sleeping in my temple. I've been just here constantly through this passage to allow for these layers, which might feel as though it's getting quite complex or more busy. But if you can still and spend time, give time to yourself also, especially in the last phase of this moon, to be in your realm of soul star creation, to play. Don't let it sort of build up on you from the outside and start feeling a little pressured or lost, but still into your space. Just play with what presents, whether you're sitting in meditation at your altar, letting consciousness move and explore the layers of the coding that is interfusing, that is landing, or you are working with a more conscious creation. But yeah, let yourself be in the space of that. Let yourself still into it, and then you will synchronize with this incredible, rich and complex layering of creation that is beginning to happen. It will become simple. You'll feel yourself settling into the way of it, harmonizing, locking in, and you'll feel the beauty of this. Otherwise, we may feel at this phase start to feel a little pressured or a little lost, a little like we're losing track or overwhelmed. So hugely recommending that. You'll find it'll happen quite quickly, and you'll feel really, really wonderful when you do that. So yeah, with so much love, I'll complete there, just feeling the energy complete as I said that. Ia Te Antara. So, yeah, this phase, may this be incredibly beautiful. There is a shift in the energy, deep layers, multi-layered, that their potentiality is established. It's really, really flowing in now following these clearings. And so, yeah, just really, really blessing and calling in your synchronization with this. So, so beautiful. And may your creations blossom and rise. Don't be afraid of their richness or their complexity, of your inspiration, of what you're called to. As you synchronize into it, you'll feel your more than capacity to dance in this. And it's not about control. This realm is so beyond control. We can let ourselves be in the moment. You won't get your head around all of it. It's like, let yourself be in the moment. Let the flow happen, the deeper intelligencing of your being, of your soul star happen. And so much joy you'll experience with this flow, this magic of creation. So with so much love, and I shall see you soon. Farewell for now. I kanan ora, I anamini ar sarkion, then.